Today I'm going to show you how I make live edits to play in my DJ sets. Sometimes I have tracks that I really want to play out live, but they don't really have the right flow that I want. And instead of me setting a bunch of cue points and doing stuff live on stage where I'm jumping back and forth to a bunch of different sections of the song, it makes more sense for me to just make a quick edit inside of Ableton and then export that out so I can just have one audio file to play live, and it's exactly how I want it. This track is an insane remix by Dr. Ozzy of Virtual Self's legendary tune, Ghost Voices. I was going through my iTunes library yesterday and I forgot about this remix. It came out, I think like a couple years ago. And I was like, man, I really want to play this track out live, but there's just a couple things that I would want to switch on it. And it just makes much more sense for me to make a quick edit inside of Ableton. It'll take 15 minutes at the most and export that out. And then I'm ready to go to play it out live. So let's jump in. First, we need to do two things to make sure that this track is ready before we do any kind of editing at all. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that the speed of the song is the same speed as the session. I've already looked up the speed, so I know that it's at 140. So all we're going to do is go up here to the top left, click on it and type in 140, boom. We're only going to be working with this one song and one piece of audio. So since I'm not going to be needing to adjust the speed, since I'm just setting the whole session to the same speed as the song, and I'm not going to change it to make it faster or slower, we don't need to worry about warping. So it's going to make it really, really easy. If I was changing the speed of the song or maybe trying to match another song to the same speed as this one for an edit, then I would need to go in and do warping. But we're going to keep it really simple, just work with this one track. The second thing that we need to do is make sure that it's actually lining up right on the timing of the session. So what I mean is the speed is the same as the session, but it still needs to be, the downbeats still need to hit at the right spot. So the way to do that is we're going to go all the way to the front of the track, remove the front just so that we have a little bit of space to move around. It looks like it's pretty much there already, but I just want to double check. See how it's a little bit off of that? The transient or the downbeat is where you see this little group together of waveforms. See how it's kind of flat and spread out, and then it's really, really close together right here? That's how you know that this is the start of a transient. If I expand this a bit, you can see a little better that right here along this line is really where it picks up really heavy again. It's right next to that 5, but what we're gonna do is click on it, hold down Command, and that's gonna let you slide it over so that it's not perfectly aligned to the grid. And now you have it absolutely perfect on that downbeat. So now anytime that you click and drag and move stuff around, you know that it's gonna be perfect. And you don't even have to think about it again. And then we're just gonna drag the front of this all the way back out so it hits right at the beginning. So now, should be perfectly in timing with the session. And the way we can check that is turning on this metronome on the top left, click that on so it goes yellow, and now you'll hear a clicking sound that should be exactly in timing with, let's say over here where the drums are. If we turn down the volume a little bit just to hear it better, so like -10, you should be able to hear it pretty in timing. Perfect. All right, so we could turn the metronome back off now, and now we're ready to edit. So the thing that I noticed about this song is that there's two really good drops, but I want each of those drops to be right after each other instead of two separate drops, kind of where there's like a first drop and then a switch instead of two separate drops. So the first thing I'm gonna do is separate the audio file into different sections. That way we can clearly see where the different arrangement is. This whole first section here, I can already see just by looking at it before all these drums start, this is the whole intro part. So the whole intro part right here, I'm gonna keep. And then there's a little buildup right here and it goes straight into the first drop. I want to keep the intro and this little buildup, but I wanted to then go right into this long breakdown and buildup that it has. There's a really awesome, like trancey, long buildup that I want to have right before the first drop. So what I'm going to do is give it a quick listen and then use Command E to separate the different sections of the song. So that's still the build up here. So this is the drop right here. So I'm gonna leave the cursor or the marker right here on where the drop is. I'm gonna hold Shift and then click and drag so it highlights this whole area. Command E to split it. And now I have, this is my intro, which I'm gonna make a different color just so it's a little easier for you all to see. I'm gonna make it light yellow for the intro. And then I'm actually gonna Command T to start a new track. And I'm going to drag down this part of the drop. So now we can call this, let's say, build up, and this one down here, drop. All right, so this is just so you guys can see a little bit easier what I'm doing here. So yellow will be the build-up area, and this bottom part will make it red just so it's easy to see the difference for the drop. So I can already see how this is a really thick like brick right here. This is all the drop right here. You can see there's a ton of stuff going on. And then right about here, when it starts to break up a little bit, that's gonna be the next breakdown. So let's give it a quick listen so we can get it right. So that whole breakdown part right here starts right here. We'll do Command E to split it. Then let's find where the buildup ends. All right, so this is where that next drop is, Command E. So now I'm gonna just click this and pull it up to the top here, make it yellow. Cool. So we have the first buildup here in this section and the second buildup in this section. Now, I like this whole first buildup, but it goes into the drop. In my opinion, this song is amazing as a song in itself, but when I'm playing something out live, I wanna kind of curate the energy a little bit differently for a live setting. For this song in particular, the way that the arrangement is, I wanna use this first little intro drop to then go into the really big breakdown and huge buildup that he makes here. So it builds up all this tension and goes into the drop. And then I'm also gonna smash together the first drop and the second drop, since they change a little bit on that second drop, is kind of like an A and B, kind of like a switch going on. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, I have this whole intro drop here, and then I'm gonna the first thing I'm gonna do is I have this whole intro section, and I want that to go directly into the long breakdown. So I'm gonna slide this breakdown over and move the drop to this side. So now we have the intro with a tiny little buildup that goes into this big breakdown that has the vocals and all these trancey synths. So you can see what I'm gonna play it real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Nice, so this is gonna help me mix much more. Now, let's go over to the drop. It has this like little gun sounding. I liked the way that this is coming off of the second buildup. I like the way that it led into the first drop better. So you can hear the difference here if we take this away and use this as the little pre-drop instead. Just has like a boom instead of the gun sounds hitting. Nice. So before it switches from one section to the other, I want to bring back those gun sounds that happened right before that drop, before that second drop, because it kind of adds a little bit of a segue to go from the first drop to the second as like a little switch that happens. So we'll play it without it first, and then you'll see me dragging these gun sounds over, and you'll see how it kind of breaks it up a little bit better. It already does kind of work, it flows, but I think that these gun sounds now help break it up just a little bit more. Yeah, that's much better. Now there's like a clear difference between the first drop and the second drop. It helps kind of just make it flow a little bit better. So now let's find, there's a section between, it's kind of like a bridge, like a section between that last drop and the actual outro where it kind of rides out with the melody. I love how it rides out there, but then it also kind of switches to a different spot that I don't think really flows as well. So again, the reason why I'm making this edit is because I'm going to play this out live. So there's already kind of something in my head that I want to, you know, portray with the song. I'm probably going to play this at the end of my set. So there's already a vision that I kind of have of what I want it to sound like and the energy that I'm trying to push to the crowd. It's the end of my set, so I really want those melodics to like ride out as long as possible. So we're gonna kind of chop in between the way that he already has it, and then I want to kind of pick apart a couple little things that I like from how the other switch that he had. So you'll see what I mean. See, right there is where it changed. I don't really want that section because it kind of cuts up the melodics. So I'm going to move this out of the way for right now. You can hear the way that it wrote out already. See, I didn't want this part. I'm gonna actually split this so it makes a little bit more sense so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'll make this a different color. So essentially, these two things, there's the first drop, the second drop, and then this kind of like little bridge area. I like the first part of the bridge because it has the melodics. The second part, I don't want it to change up again. I kind of want the melodics to ride out the whole time. So I'm gonna just duplicate this so it continues to ride out instead of having this part. But I do like, you see how this is constant, but there are these little breaks here. So if I solo this real quick, this little spot, I really like that. So since I want to keep that, what I'm going to do is take away everything except for this. Here's where it goes back in. There's another one of them right here. I like these little, those little drum breaks right there. And then it has another one of those there. And another one of these. So there's these 4 little sections of like breaks that I want to keep because see, it didn't have it in this other one. So all I'm going to do now is come to this side and take them out of this one. This is kind of like the melodics area like the other ones are. So now if I unsolo it and play them, since they're 2 different sections here and they're not overlapping, it's going to sound fine. But now you're going to hear the melodics kept from the way it was before with these little sections here that I wanted to keep from the other way. and it actually cuts out the melodics. So I'm gonna bring this over a little bit more so it keeps that sub note. Same thing here. And just for some fun, I do maybe want to do a little glitch right here. So the way to do that kind of glitch effect, I just got this little first section and just duplicated it a couple times. So we have the melodic section, just to run it back right here. We have this melodic section. I duplicated that melodic section because I didn't want to go into that change, that like vibe change that was happening there. But I did like these 4 little sections that he did that are different from everything else that was in here. So I got the best of both worlds. I duplicated that melodic section so that the song can continue riding out with that vibe, but I cut out a couple little sections here that I really wanted to keep. So let's listen to the whole thing back. This is just this section. Sweet. So now we have the small intro that we kept the same way and build up. In order to mix live, I wanted to keep that really big build up. So we moved that second build up that was over here over to the front. Then we have that first big drop that I liked. We glued the second drop right after it and just kept that little pre-drop fill to give it a little bit of distinction between both drops. And then we kept that little melodic section, duplicated that, but added in these little chops here, and then pasted the original outro. All right, let's give this one last listen through and see what we got. Sick. All right, so now it's perfect. It's exactly the way I want it. Ready for me to play it out live. It keeps the vibe consistent the way that I wanted it to with both of those drops. It has that big build up leading into them and then flows the whole way out with all the melodics for the kind of end of my set vibe that I wanted to set. This remix is insane. Dr. Oz killed it. Virtual Self, obviously, what a legend. Created such an anthem. Just gives me chills every time I hear it. Make sure you go give Virtual Self and Dr. Oz a follow. And if you guys liked the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.